Welcome to this course presentations by 5 of our colleagues on global engagement and virtual exchanges during COVID-19. And my name is Untitled. I'm the Assistant Provost of Global Engagement, and also used to affiliate with the History Department. We are joined by some of the colleagues who have done a lot of work on virtual exchange internationally, with programs and lectures, and also other projects. And today we hope that we can have a conversation about how we can continue to engage internationally with our curriculum and faculty work and student projects. And so they will each speak a little bit about the experiences and to explain what their virtual engagement projects are and how does it impact their students and what their plans are for the future. So I would first ask Karen from Movement Arts and to start her presentation.
Great, thank you, Kwai. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm excited today to talk to you about our collaborative online international learning virtual exchange that I had a chance to do with my partners at Tokyo Gakugei University. This was an 8-week virtual exchange, and in the exchange, we wanted to have our students collaborate and work together on a project, and for our students to just develop an awareness of sort of how their worldview relates to other people's worldviews in the field of physical education. So to engage in this process, we did do a month of training to learn about what a virtual exchange was in this collaborative online learning. And to make the process work appropriately, we designed some shared learning outcomes. We developed a course syllabus. And then we were ready to engage in this virtual exchange from October to December. You can see on the screen as to sort of, who we were when we did it. And this virtual exchange included 4 synchronous classes that were 2-hour sessions held in the evening that were delivered in English, and 4 asynchronous classes, asynchronous meetings where our students met and worked on their group projects. And we were focused on students creating a culminating project, which was a group lesson plan in physical education designed to answer a shared problem that teachers both in Japan and in the US were having in physical education. And to accomplish the task, we did scaffold many learning experiences along the way. What was exciting about this project is that we were able to achieve the learning outcomes of both of our courses, and students were really able to grow in new ways. So I kind of had 3 kind of big findings that came from the work. One was this notion of this awareness of the uniqueness of their own culture. And there's a quote on the board where the student indicated that, I realized that when we came into contact with other cultures, that we can find uniqueness in our own culture, in our own way of thinking. That was from a student from Tokyo Gakugei University. We did have some communication challenges. One of the students indicated, I felt frustrated that I couldn't communicate the way I wanted to. Some Bridgewater students also indicated that they were initially very nervous about communication, but were pleased that they were able to find a way to communicate and share important ideas. And then most importantly, students spoke of this change in perspective. Being able to meet and interact with students from Japan is something I never thought I would do, said a Bridgewater student. Another student said, I was exposed to a variety of values and ways of thinking about my ideas of physical education that became more flexible. So I do have quite a few interesting sort of quotes from students in the next few slides, but moving forward, some of the biggest ideas that I think about is, one, I'm certainly looking forward to next year when we do this project again. And sort of things that I've learned along the way so that this is sustainable and it works for both partners will be to really help the students set up their asynchronous meetings. Google Forms are wonderful for that. and to talk a little bit more to my students about their responsibility in terms of meeting deadlines, not putting things off to the last minute, because we realized that there were some real cultural differences in terms of the way students engaged in work. So I'm thrilled with the work that we did. The scaffolding of learning was essential to the process. So thank you. And I would love to talk with people about virtual exchange because it was one of the best experiences of this academic year for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for sharing that. I wasn't sure if Wing Kai was going to transition. So I'm Dr. Megan Healy-Clancy. I serve in the history department, and I'm also the African Studies coordinator. And as part of my work with the African Studies program, I've been very involved with the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program over the past several years. I'm going to share my slides to talk more about the kind of virtual engagement that we've been able to do with alumni Mandela Fellows during this challenging past year. So this is introducing us to the program, right? The Young African Leaders Initiative is a State Department funded program. It's coordinated by an organization called IREX based in DC. And BSU is one of many prestigious institutions that have been hosting the Mandela Washington Fellows over the past several years. We joined the program in 2016. And since that time, we've had 100 young African leaders come to our campus over the summer. So who are these young African leaders? They come from many different countries. We've hosted fellows from 33 countries, from the tiny kingdom of Eswatini in Southern Africa to the newest African country of South Sudan, all over the map, literally. And these fellows, similarly are extremely diverse in terms of their field of expertise. We've had a lot of lawyers, a lot of criminal justice professionals, a lot of education professionals, journalists, human rights activists, policy makers, you name it. We have at least a couple of alumni fellows that are running for political office today, right? And so these fellows are between 25 and 35 when they come to our campus. And typically, as you could imagine, this is an enormously engaging experience, right? There's a lot of connections with the BSU community broadly conceived, a lot of connections that are made amongst fellows. Here's an image from one of our exciting activities that we did in 2018. This is a routine activity of visiting the State House to celebrate Mandela Day in July. So these kind of events, right, these are tremendous opportunities. The fellows go to New York City, they go to the UN, right? They typically have a lot of, real life experiences of cultural exchange, not only with Americans, but also, of course, amongst themselves. Now, we've also had a really great track record of alumni engagement where fellows from previous cohorts come back to BSU, giving guest lectures, participating in activities on campus. And we've also had some BSU faculty and staff who have participated in reciprocal exchanges, traveling to fellows' home countries to engage in projects there. Louise Badian in anthropology, for instance, traveled to Senegal and worked with one of our alumni fellows on a project there. So in short, right, we've had a lot of real life experiences for engagement. The challenge that 2020 presented us, of course, was what can we do to sort of try to replicate some of these experiences in the virtual space? And perhaps thinking more positively, what can we do using technology to try to amplify opportunities for alumni engagement? And what we've done, right, are a few things. In 2020, we really focused on facilitating more and more connections, ongoing connections, deepening connections, new connections amongst the alumni fellows and connecting with BSU faculty and staff. So we had a series of sessions, leadership, I think they were called like Zoom leadership sessions, virtual leadership sessions, beginning with a reunion that we invited all 100 of our alumni fellows to. At least 50 people attended. I couldn't find in my notes exactly how many folks were there, but it was at least half of the fellows who came in at one time or another. And we just had a little Zoom reunion. And that was followed by 3 more substantive sessions, which involved short lectures and panel discussions from BSU faculty and some really rich conversations amongst fellows around topics that were quite timely amidst the pandemic and all of its devastations and challenges around crisis management, social justice and community building, decision-making and conflict resolution. Finally, this year, we've been focused on facilitating more connections amongst alumni fellows and BSU students. I was able to host several events in the spring semester 2021, which included discussions, panel discussions, again, about sort of big ticket issues in the world today with some of our alumni fellows, and a special guest lecture and discussion about the specific challenges that the current COVID-19 pandemic presents to Southern Africa. So, on whole, right, we've had pretty good turnout at these events, which is important because I know that, recruiting people who want to keep participating in Zoom events can be challenging at this time of year. And in terms of, outcomes, students have certainly evinced a very strong desire to be more involved with future cohorts of fellows when they come to our campus. It can be challenging since it's a summer program, right? But trying to build these sorts of connections, to try to bring in these incredibly distinguished young leaders to meet with our students in our courses and in public events. Zoom can be a continuing resource for this, and I'm sure it will be in years to come when simply, our budget does not allow flying someone from Botswana to talk to our students, right? And so students can really benefit from that use of technology. And so, the challenge is, right, we're having another Leadership Institute this summer. This is the cohort of fellows who were accepted originally for 2020, but the Institute was, of course, deferred last year. This will be a virtual institute this year, right? And so, a challenge for the current fellows is how do we create that sense of community, connections with the BSU community, including, family and friends, as we see in our photo here, that sort of warmth of conviviality. How do we do that? On the other hand, right, technology, as I've been saying, with things like bringing in students, right, may allow some sort of deeper and different types of connections to form. One really interesting innovation this year, for instance, is that there'll be some asynchronous content shared amongst fellows at different institutions in the United States. So fellows will make even more connections with a sort of broader net of leaders than they might ordinarily. Right, but so we'll be thinking, again, sort of very creatively in the months and year to come about how to make the most of technology to facilitate not only these kind of structured, scripted exchange programs, but also the more sort of fortuitous connections that come out of community conversation and convivial fun in these sorts of institutes. So thank you. I'll share these slides if you guys are interested in looking at more details about the institutes in your leisure. Thank you all for coming.
That was great, Megan. So interesting. My name is Ellen Scheibel. I'm from the English department, and the Collaborative Online International Learning, or COIL exchange that I participated in this semester was actually a faculty exchange. So we actually did not ask our students to exchange with each other any time commitments or any classes, but we instead switched faculty members for a couple days of the semester and taught each other's courses. So what I'd like to do is just show you an image of a slide that was prepared by the faculty member that I had the exchange with. Her name is Dr. Tina Morin, and she's in the English department at the University of Limerick. So let me go ahead and share this. So hopefully you can see there's Tina right there. And this is the title of her talk, which is about Dracula. Tina and I actually are colleagues that work together on writing projects as well as presentations. And it just happened that we were teaching some of the same texts this semester in different versions of Gothic classes. And so what we decided to do was take each other's course from each other for one day and kind of talk about our own research and how we saw those texts to a different group of students. So my students were able to watch this video. This was posted on my Blackboard page. And then I actually did a live session in Tina's course so that the students could ask me questions and we could have a conversation after. This stays up on Blackboard and I was able to archive it. So in the future, if any faculty are interested in doing international exchanges, one great benefit to something like this is that you can keep it and it can sort of be maintained as part of your syllabus going forward without people even necessarily needing to reformat or re-record something. So Tina and I hope to be able to use our materials again in the future. One thing that I would just emphasize going forward is that it's really special, I think, for students in other environments and in other countries to be able to ask faculty members questions and ask other students questions and interact in this way. Even when we do, regular study abroad, we don't necessarily have that level of collaboration that I think we actually get from this kind of international exchange. There's something about being able to have everyone together in one space that you can't even really do when you're studying abroad, that brings with it, I think, really great, powerful experiences. I think if you do have recordings, that there's a real sort of thread of sustainability going forward that you can use in your syllabus without a huge time demand on the part of other faculty. So there's something about also what we have to record and that kind of medium that works really well, I think, to continue these exchanges and to embed them into our syllabi. In terms of what maybe we would do differently, I think this time, if we were to do this again, I do think that Tina and I might try to overlap a little bit more in our topics and see if we could even come together in one class and present at the same time. We didn't do that this time. She had one class and then a few weeks later I had another, but I think if we worked together in one space, that would also be very interesting for the students. So please feel free to contact me if you have any other questions about collaborative online international learning or virtual exchanges, especially in Ireland.
Thank you, Alan, for this very interesting and informative presentation. My name is Jabbar Al-Ubaidi. I'm with the Munich Institute for Global Engagement, and really my role as academic director when it comes to the international engagement is to facilitate and provide information and support to our colleagues. That's faculty, librarians, staff, and our students as well, both undergraduate and undergraduate. I'm sharing with you this PowerPoint that's really made by myself and my colleague, Mr. Michael Sandy is the Director of Study Abroad, talking about virtual engagement. I think COVID-19, although it's being very difficult time and the experience is hard even to think about, but we were, all of us collectively were able to adapt and to be creative and really in a way virtually beat the virus or COVID-19 by our creativity and create more international opportunities for faculty and students in terms of virtual international internships, collaboration with BSU Internship Office and Study Abroad and the partners. We also developed virtual course exchanges, modeled on semester exchange. We did some experimental exchange in 2021, and you already saw really two powerful, or going to be three powerful examples that attest to the fact that we did it through the work of Munich Institute for Global Engagement. We also try to, not necessarily replicate what we learned from SUNY COIL Center, but we added to it. So we have collaborative online international learning, as we call it, COIL. We have guest lectures. I mean, guest lectures was very beneficial for our students and faculty as well. And I think the attendance and the interest of our faculty and some staff and students were very commendable, and also co-teaching. And I want to just jump in terms of time to go to what we have in in the fall 2020. We were really lucky to get this grant from the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. We got this grant under Pathways to MENA. What we did is we got some money to help build the programs in the MENA region, but at the same time work with other areas such as the Asian Studies program. So the director of MENA through this grant, Dr. Mandela, partner with Chen Yo, the coordinator of Asian Studies program, and they work together, and they really did two events. One involved students to students, and one involved co-teaching and lectures. So that's very, very important to us. The challenges, though, it's not difficult that we say we cannot overcome them. I think we overcame some of them, and some of them is still, of course, in the future will be creative to overcome. One of them is how to get really our strengths together and probably don't fall victim for this, what we call it, Zoom fatigue. For sometimes you see the faculty abroad and others say, well, we really are tired from Zoom. So technology becomes a challenge for us. Why? Because we relied on technology so much. But before the pandemic, we used technology, but it was supplemental. And the face-to-face was actually the real engagement with the audience, with the students, with the public. Now we reverse it. So how we're gonna really balance between using face-to-face and regular contact and with the technology? The second thing, I would be very honest with you, is the financial problems. I mean, we are under severe budget constraints, and without having some financial aids, financial help for faculty, for students, whoever, here and abroad with our partners, I think that will continue to challenge us. The third one is how personally, as a faculty and as I see myself as a team player, how we can encourage our faculty, those who have not tested the experience with the international engagement. I hope, we will all as a team, we will be able to do a better job in the future. But if you ask me in the last sentence, I would say, am I happy with our accomplishment? I'm very proud of the faculty engagement, the student engagement, staff engagement, and the work we have done so far. Thank you so much, and I'm going to stop here.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you very much for the presentations before. My name is Emil Serna. I'm an assistant professor at the physics department. I will try to join up talking about different experiences with the international community, especially with Colombia, in my case. So this is the Bridgewater State University, BSU, and UNAL, which is the Universidad Nacional de Colombia. So it's the national university in Colombia. That's the largest public university. This is part of a 100K strong Americas. As you can see, it's about an innovation fund that looks for bringing together the North America and the Latin America. So Colombia is a country in South America, so the north of South America, where I'm originally from. So I come from that university. I did my undergrad in that university. As you can see here is in Medellin, the site. And the curious thing is that it's a very strong research for undergrad university. So the main goal is to have a university that is more or less, let's say, aligned with the principles of Bridgewater State, which is a public university heavily dedicated to undergraduate in novel engineering programs. And then we think that it will be mutually beneficial to have a university bringing a new program in photonics engineering here in the US. Actually, the photonics and optical engineering program is the very first one in New England area, and join with the Universidad Nacional de Colombia, which is the Colombia National University, because they started new engineering programs like biology engineering and physics engineering, where I'm a graduate from. So we produce publications, for instance, as an undergraduates and so on, and we would like to learn from that experience as well and have Bridgewater State University students producing papers, producing high quality research, worldwide renowned. Okay, so here to show you more or less the map, the National University of Colombia has a presence in the whole country. So that would be an open gate, not only for sciences and not only for physics, but for all the departments in the university here at Bridgewater to have influence there. So there is like a lot of connections possible. We have a lot of liberal arts programs, of course, international interests as well. The Amazonian is as well there. So we have like around 10% of the Amazon forest in Colombia. So it will be a huge place for the future in the Americas in general, right? So we consider ourselves as citizens of the world. All right. Just to come back a little bit, and I know I don't have time to explain everything in detail, but the social interest as a public university. So we have a social responsibility, and that is not only true in Bridgewater, but also in the National University there. We have a layered division in society in Colombia that we call stratum or estratos in Spanish. And as you can see here from the numbers, I don't know if you can see my cursor, yes, most of the students are from number 2 and number 3, which is, let's say, the 6 is the highest. So 6 is the higher income in families in Colombia, 1 is the lowest. And as you can see, this is a way to scale socially, let's say. So having education, high quality education is a very competitive place. So the ratio is more or less 1 every 10 candidates got accepted in the university because it's very cheap, it's public and free. So I think we have a very nice group of students there that are looking for new opportunities. So I think Bridgewater can offer a lot to them, and Bridgewater State University students would learn a lot by going there, not only about Spanish, South American culture, but also about how technology is universal. So we're talking about light wave technologies. So what is photonics and optical engineering? So I'm glad that we can talk here to different faculties, because some of you might not know what is this program growing here. So the idea is to use light waves to transmit information, basically. We have several awards, state-of-the-art laboratories. We have collaborations even with MIT, because we have instruments that MIT don't have. So it's like an amazing space. So we can create with those equipment new collaborations regionally. So we're talking about Massachusetts industry, families, Brockton area, but as well as Boston area, Worcester, et cetera, but extend that to collaborators in the global South, let's say. Great. So the last slide I would like to finish with is what is more or less the concrete objectives of this program. So it is basically to create a hybrid approach. So to learn from this experience with Zoom. So thanks for commenting that, all of my colleagues before. So the idea is to have an online class during the spring of next year. Then we will pair students between Bridgewater and the National University in Colombia. And then during the summer, some students from Bridgewater first will go to Colombia. They will have an experience there of 2 weeks, learning about the environment, the research that is done there, how is the administration working. And then the students from Colombia will come here and they will participate in projects during 4 weeks, paired with the students from Bridgewater State University in state-of-the-art research regarding lasers and light-based technologies. So that we are sure that is only the seed for something bigger. But yeah, we are very excited and waiting for the results. They will come back in 1 month. And then with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. And I will be sharing also my slides and for you to consult.
Well, thank you all 5 of you for this quick overview of your projects. Obviously, just like a panel or roundtable discussion, it's sort of interesting to have all of you to summarize the projects you've done for faculty and students, in your presentations. You've heard about different models of virtual exchanges. Started off with course-based exchanges and what we call collaborative online international learning (COIL), matching classes from the BSU and another university around the world, and so that students can work together on project-based learning outcomes. And in the case of Karen, would be focusing on physical education curriculum. And in the case of Ellen, we'll be focusing on, with another university and having 2 faculty members who are working together. While Megan talked about the Mandela Washington Fellows Program, and by bringing outside professionals or our former students to engage with us again through a series of educational events, both just for the fellows themselves, with the staff in the fall semester, and then incorporating them into the classes in the spring semester. This is what Jabbar was trying to do in his work as academic director of global engagement, is to present a full range of virtual engagement opportunities for all the programs, including outside speakers and also in individual global programs. Some of the programs like Asian Studies and Canadian Studies have also done exchanges, but their coordinators are not here today. With the national grants that the Department of Education with the MINA program, we are able to establish these kinds of opportunities in the future. So the panel ended with kind of what happened in the past to what is going to happen in the future by focusing on both the Department of Education grant and also the Partners of the Americas grant with Colombia. What's so amazing about these 5 speakers is that you look at BSU's virtual engagement, we cover all the continents outside outside North America today. We started out with Asia in Japan, and then we turned to Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, with all the nations that we work with, and then we turned to Ireland in Europe, and then we then go back to Middle East and North Africa, and finally we focus on Latin America and Colombia. So we definitely have done a lot of projects in Asia, Africa, Europe, Middle East and North Africa, and also Latin America. So kind of take you around the world, in about less than 30 minutes. I'm really impressed by all the projects. Before we sign off, if you can just name one takeaway from any of you about why global engagement is so important for BSU or so satisfying for you or for your students.
I'd love to share. I think that I'll comment on the virtual engagement. I think that virtual engagement, it opens up access to the world for all of our students, and the opportunity to change worldviews, and you're not limited by who has the funds to travel. That's the amazing piece for me. And I do see it as a pathway to then hoping these students will then engage in some exchanges in the future.
Yes, absolutely. I'll definitely echo everything that Karen said. So, I mean, in the past, in the pre-COVID days, I was already using Skype sometimes to bring in guest speakers from South Africa in particular in a lot of my courses. I mean, this year I really took advantage of that. So, in addition to all the Mandela events, the author of every book we read in my gender and African history class this spring semester, we did a brief Zoom convo with the author, right? And some of those authors were overseas, others were in California, right? But, in normal times, it would have been an insurmountable expense to actually bring these people to campus. But, for our students, that's tremendously powerful, right? I know we all have Zoom fatigue, right? But our students really do, I think, find that quite inspiring to be able to meet with scholars and activists and people in the world beyond our campus. And that's been a tremendous gift, actually, that this challenging year has given us.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm happy to share as a takeaway is we really overcome the linguistic difficulties or languages, because we very creatively use Google translators and other tools. And so that's we need to develop it. Number two, we really open opportunities as a takeaway for our students that they couldn't travel, but they travel virtually, and they so as one can mention, most of the continents. This is beautiful. Third, we created our own core. Look at this, six of us, and we have 3 sets of 7 sets of like 6 of us here on Bridgewater State University. So I would say, go team.
Well, in my case, I would like to say something too. Well, for the students, it's not only the beauty of having like an international language, which is mathematics and engineering, which I hope my students will learn, that they can speak by doing technology and by doing math, but also to learn about the world and the different barriers and how to overcome them. So it's not only like the difference in social, gender, race, visa, language. So that all of that will be part of this experience. And I think that is something that will mark them as it marked all of us, I think. So all of this international experience and being in touch with others makes us feel like we belong to the whole planet. And that is our responsibility to be aware and worried about what's happening everywhere.
I think there's a real connection and tethering to material that happens when students actually engage with faculty or scholars. And so Megan, it's so cool to me to hear that like the authors of the books gave talks, because when students actually see that, there's something tangible about it that helps them to connect what they're studying, what they're reading, what they're thinking with the sort of outside world, and not just like an international world, but you know, a kind of empathetic, emotional world where I think they see the humanism behind what we do more clearly that way. There's something amazing to be able to have, you know, an American talking about Irish studies to Irish students, and having Irish students ask an American faculty member questions about that. I think it was really like interesting to them. I was way more afraid than they were, but I think it was really interesting to them that this was something I was interested in, that this was something that I spent my life studying. Their culture then I think grows. There's a sort of bigger, wider range to their own human experience. I think it's wonderful. I hope we sustain it and continue it as we move forward.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. All you know, really all the accomplishments that our faculty have done this year are really truly amazing during the pandemic. Actually has deepened some of our existing partnerships. I know that we've done a lot with Ireland and Japan. Always we've done the Mandela programs for years. We have a very strong Center for Middle East Studies for many, many years. And you know, a lot of times they focus on student exchange and faculty visit. But this time we really bring a lot of those content into our classrooms and actually expanded our relationship with University of Limerick, Tokyo Gakugei University, and the University of Limerick. And I already said that Yarmouk University in Jordan, or Tafila Technical University. So those relationships are strong. And again, you know, utilizing the new kind of partnership as well, and to explore the National University of Columbia. But I'm really amazed that we got grants from, you know, the Department of Education, Title VI. We applied for National University of Columbia with the Partners of the America. We got the grant from American Council on Education for the project with Japan. And of course, Mandela has been our signature grant that we got over the last 6 years with the State Department. So I just wanted to highlight, you know, all the good work that faculty have done over the years, and especially this year. It's a combination of years and years of hard work. You don't know, you know, Alan, Karen, you know, how much work they've done over the last 5 to 10 years on the Japan and Ireland. And Megan, you know, thank you for your leadership for the Mandela program. And Samuel, you know, we know more about the photonics program, and we're going to bring this internationally. and again, who can, say enough about what Japan has done for this campus at all. So thank you all for the partnership and for listening. So virtual exchange is not that hard, so please join us. And we hope that everyone can join in and participate in it. Thank you.